Hey everybody, it's Bricks. I'm coming to you from my 0 day in Delaware Water Gap, Pennsylvania, in the middle of my attempted thru hike of the Appalachian Trail, and I thought this would be a perfect time to give you another update on what's going right and what's going wrong with my equipment. Let's get started. So everybody, it's been almost 3 months since I've been hiking the Appalachian Trail. And during this time, some things have gone right, some things have not, some things have broken, some things have performed superbly. And so I wanted to give you this update on what is working for me and what's not, and just my general observations. This is part two in this type of update. I previously completed one when I was in Damascus, Virginia, and so now here I am almost at the 1,300 mile mark. And so I thought I'd go ahead and give you another update. So specifically, what I want to talk about is what's working and what's not, what has gone well and what hasn't, and gear that I've added to my pack and gear that I've eliminated. I've put timestamps for each of the items that we're going to discuss in the description so that you can skip ahead if necessary. So that being said, let's go ahead and get started. First, I want to talk about what's working well. Absolutely, the first thing I want to talk about what's working well are my hiking shoes. These are my Altra Olympus 4 hiking shoes that I just wore for the last 500 miles. Took me all the way from parts of Northern Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, and all of Pennsylvania. If you recall, earlier in my hike, I switched from the Ultra Lone Peaks to the Olympus 4s, specifically for the midsole cushioning, because my feet were just getting beat up on rocks and roots, because the Lone Peak 4.5s that I had started with just didn't have that same amount of cushioning. So I switched to the Olympus 4s, and I have been absolutely pleased with how they have performed on the rocks. You can see that there is some definite wear and tear. You can see that there is some a tear in the stitching. That's because these shoes have 500 miles and it's time for a replacement, which I'm going to talk about here in just a minute in terms of gear that I've added. But I couldn't be any more pleased with how the Ultra Olympus 4s have performed for me on the Appalachian Trail, all the way from Georgia through the state of Pennsylvania. So very pleased with that. Things that have not worked well. My Zpacks Vertice pants. If you recall in my previous videos, I had a problem with my Zpacks Vertice rain pants because the seam seal, specifically in the crotch of the pants, had worn. I returned them to Zpacks for a replacement. Zpacks was absolutely fast and had superb customer service with getting me a replacement, and they sent me a prompt replacement for the other ones. However, after wearing them one time, the replacements also had a failure in the seam seal in the exact same location. Now, this is not a critical item for me. It is in the bottom of the crotch of the rain pants, so unless I'm sitting in a puddle, it's not critical for me to go through the hassle of returning them for a warranty again at this item for the same exact reason. Although I am a huge fan of Zpacks customer service, I cannot recommend the Zpacks Vertice rain pants at this time, just because 2 pairs of pants, the exact same flaw with the seam seal in the crotch area of the rain pants. And so just be advised of that. I don't know if anybody else has had this issue or not, but 2 pairs of rain pants, total wear time of probably 4 times. Wore the first pair 3 times, wore the second pair 1 time, and then the seam seal in the crotch area had failed. So that is something that has not gone well. Let's talk about some experiences that have gone well. So we just talked about some gear, my shoes, the Vertice rain pants. Let's talk about experiences. And since we're on the subject of Zpacks, let's talk about customer service. I've had several customer service experiences with a couple of different companies, specifically Zpacks, Darned Tough, Therma-a-Rest, and REI, based on different equipment that has failed at various times. And I've had a variety of customer service experiences with all of them, but for the most part, they're all positive. I want to talk about each one specifically though, and first we'll start with Zpacks. Zpacks customer service is stellar. It is top notch. I can't talk high enough about how prompt and efficient Zpacks customer service is. Since my thru hike began at the end of February, I've had to contact Zpacks for a variety of repair or replacement requests. Specifically, the Vertice rain pants, which I've already discussed. I had a support rod that had snapped on my Zpacks Arcall Zip backpack. I had a belt pouch where the elastic band had broken. I had a compactor bag where the Dyneema stitching had failed and was starting to fray. In each of these circumstances, I contacted Zpacks via their Contact Us form on their webpage, explained the issue, identified the items that I had purchased, placed my order number, attached a photograph of the defective item, explained that I was in the middle of an attempted thru hike and that these items had failed. Zpacks' response was absolutely mind-blowing in how quick they were. Within 24 hours, and each and every time, I received an email from Zpacks confirming that they understood the problem. And in each of these circumstances, they agreed that there was a defect. And within that same period of time, they had initiated an order for replacement items to be sent to me. That doesn't mean that each item was shipped within 24 hours. There are lead times for each of their items. But once those lead times ended, the items were shipped to my home address. My wife Twinkle then handled the logistics of making sure that they were sent to me on the trail. But all of this quick response allowed me the peace of mind to continue my thru hike, focus on what I could, repair the items as best as I could that were defective until the new items came to me. So Zpacks customer service is top notch. I can't speak highly enough of them, only because I've used them so many times and they've been so absolutely responsive. So kudos to Zpacks for their customer service. Second customer service experience, Darn Tough. Darn Tough socks have a lifetime warranty. And it's probably pretty good that they do have a lifetime warranty, because I am that guy that for whatever reason, my right big toe will saw through these socks no matter how short I cut them, no matter how much I file them. My hiking in Darn Tough socks has shown that over the last 3 months, I go through these socks. Specifically, I've gone through 3 pair of Darn Tough socks. Now, Darn Tough has an excellent return policy. By going to their website, on their webpage, there is a return form that you can fill out, and it couldn't be any easier. You don't even need to attach any receipts. You fill out the form explaining what the defect is in the socks. You put the form in a box, you include your socks, you pay for postage to Darn Tough, and if they agree that yes, their sock failed, they send you a code to purchase new socks online that you can then have shipped to you. And so for the 3 defective pairs of Darn Tough socks, in fact, I wouldn't even call them defective. For the 3 pairs of Darn Tough socks that I wore through, they agreed that yes, they wore out over time, and because of their excellent lifetime warranty, they sent me a code for 3 brand new pairs of socks, which I've used, and then they even pay for the shipping. So it was a terrific process, very smooth. They stand by their product. They are true to their word in terms of guaranteeing the quality of their socks for life. And for that, again, Darn Tough gets a stellar recommendation in terms of customer service. Absolutely mind-blowing how quick, responsive, and efficient their process is. Number 3 in terms of customer service is Therma-a-Rest. If everyone who has been following my journey recalls, when I was in Virginia, my Therma-a-Rest Neo Air x-lite sleeping pad developed a slow leak. After several attempts to try to repair it, I was unsuccessful. Ended up replacing it with my current big Agnes XLR air mat, and sent my Therma-a-Rest Neo Air x-lite sleeping pad to the company for warranty. Now, Therma-a-Rest has a warranty on their product for 2 years from the time of purchase. And so, again, the process was very efficient. You go to their website, find the warranty return request form. You fill it out explaining what the circumstances are. You have to include the air mattress. You send that to them, and they will evaluate it. Therma-a-Rest's statement is that they believe that their sleeping mats or sleeping pads belong on the trail, not in landfills. And so, recognizing that there is a lot of waste with these, they go to a great extent, if you will, to repair these items. And so they do state that they have a 12-week turnaround time, which is kind of long, but they promise that if they cannot find and repair a leak, that they will replace the pad as long as it's within warranty. So in this case, within approximately 2 weeks of sending them the defective Therma-a-Rest Neo Air x-lite sleeping mat or sleeping pad that I had used, they sent an email stating that they had agreed that my sleeping pad was defective, and so that they would be sending me a new replacement. Now, their sleeping pads are on back order. I haven't received the new one. However, I have the satisfaction that they agreed that there was a defect in the sleeping pad, and I'm confident that they are true to their word that they will send me a replacement once their back order is completed. So I call that a win, and also Therma-a-Rest gets thumbs ups for their customer service and their speed in standing by their products as they state on their webpage. So again, another very positive experience. And that brings us to number 4 on my customer service experiences. And this one is with REI. Now, I'm an REI member. I've been an REI dividend member for many years. And part of the confidence that I have had with that is REI promises as a member that if any purchase that I make within a year, if it breaks, if it's defective, whatever, they'll replace it. And so for those of you that might recall, when I was in Virginia, I got my second pair of Altra Olympus 4 shoes that had a defect in the left shoe. In fact, the left shoe, the front sole, after 177 miles, had completely come detached. The right shoe was completely fine. The left shoe was just the front of the sole had detached. So I purchased a new pair of Altra Olympus 4s so that I could continue to hike, sent the old ones back, and with the assistance of my wonderful wife, Twinkle, we worked with REI to return these shoes. Now, REI initially said that they would not replace the shoes. And the reason was that, stated by the REI customer service representative at the REI location, they said that the Altra Olympus 4 is not a specific hiking shoe. It is a trail runner. And so having hiked for 177 miles in those shoes, they had stated that I had improperly used a trail runner as a hiking shoe and that they were not going to replace the item. You can imagine my shock and surprise when I heard this from Twinkle, who texted me in real time as she was at the REI. I happened to be in the Shenandoah Mountains at this time, and she had explained what they had said, and it just didn't seem right to me. So I actually stopped, found good cell phone service, and called the REI location from the Shenandoah Mountains and talked to the manager at that REI location, who initially supported the customer service representative's opinion that I had improperly and excessively used a trail running shoe as a hiking shoe. I countered with the debate that I walked 177 miles, and so they were initially stating that they wouldn't replace it, but if I had run 177 miles, then they would have replaced it, which did not make sense to me. The manager saw my point and thankfully and gratefully agreed to refund the item. So I consider that a success. I do believe that REI does stand by their policy. And at this point, I do believe that this was not necessarily a judgment call per se, but a policy, if you will, about the use of trail running shoes as hiking shoes. Now, much of this is just my subjective interpretation of the events that had occurred. And so, lesson learned. 1, beware, use caution when you are purchasing trail running shoes for hiking. Now, I'm somebody that loves to use trail runners as a hiking shoe. The benefits are far and wide. They're well documented on video. They're documented in true life where I have used my hiking shoe or my trail runners successfully for 500 miles on the trail. But use caution and beware that if you do get a defect, you may receive a similar argument. All said and done, I still give REI high marks for their customer service because it did result in a successful return. And I still recommend REI as a terrific place in order to purchase hiking gear or any outdoor gear for that matter. But it is an experience that I wanted to make sure that I shared with everyone, and hopefully this is useful and beneficial to you. So we've talked about what's worked and what hasn't. We've talked about what's gone well and what hasn't in terms of customer service. So let's talk about gear that I have added and gear that I've eliminated. First, let's talk about gear that I have added to my backpack. As I go into the New England states, platform camping is going to be more and more of a requirement. And this is areas where, such as in the White Mountains, where they have wooden platforms where tents are required to be placed to either because of lack of usable space, because of rocky terrain, or to prevent environmental impacts from setting up tents on earth and things like that. So platforms are going to be more and more of a requirement. And so for that, for my tent, I have had shipped to me my freestanding flex kit for my Zpacks Duplex tent. Now these poles essentially turn my Zpacks Duplex tent into a freestanding tent. Currently, I use my trekking poles and my stakes to hold it up. But using these poles, just like any other freestanding tent, I can use my Duplex as a freestanding tent, and I can successfully put it on a wooden platform and or on the earth just using this kit. These weigh 10.2 ounces in total. So it adds a little bit of weight, but to me, the satisfaction of knowing that I can successfully put my Zpacks Duplex tent on a platform, I think is worth it. Now, there are ways around this where I didn't have to use the freestanding poles. It's quite common. You can get some extra cord You can tie them to the cords that are already on the Zpacks Duplex tent, and then anchor them to the wooden platforms. It's quite common, but this is just my workaround. I prefer to focus on convenience, where I can make certain weight accommodations, and so I'm using the Zpacks Duplex freestanding flex system for that. In addition to that, I am using the platform anchors from Zpacks as well. Now these anchors, each of them, if necessary, will allow me to anchor my Zpacks Duplex tent to the wooden platform. A lot of wooden platforms have nails on the sides or other anchor points, and this will allow me to either pass a nail through the hole or slip it over a nail or something like that, or if it's a pallet or there are ridges, it will allow me to anchor it between the ridges of the pallet, and then the cord of the Zpacks tent can anchor to the other side. It allows me to anchor my tent down when it's being used as a freestanding tent, and it gives me that satisfaction that, especially during high wind situations, that my tent will be stable. It won't be compromised by any high winds or anything like that. Even in the freestanding mode, if I want to use the vestibules with my Zpacks Duplex tent, it will require it to be staked. And so I still have my stakes, and I have these anchors as well. So if I want to keep the vestibule doors anchored down, or if I want to use the doors and not tie them back while on a platform, these could be very useful as well. All said and done, I have enough for each tie line or each guy line on my Zpacks Duplex tent. There's a total of 8. All said and done, this weighs 2.5 ounces. Very light. So well worth the weight consideration. And again, this paired with my freestanding flex system from the tent will allow me to use my Zpacks Duplex as a freestanding system in the areas in the states where platforms are required. Other items that I am adding, I have had my ball cap sent to me. I don't necessarily like to hike with a cap all the time because I like to look out and around, but it is getting to be close to the mosquito areas, Massachusetts, Vermont, and things of that nature. So I have this paired with a mosquito net so that when we're in heavy mosquito areas or black flies or no-see-em areas where insects are around, I can have the mosquito net over my face to keep bugs out of my eyes and ears and in my general face area. And then the cap helps keep this off of my face. So mosquitoes can't bite through the net onto my face area or anything like that, and it actually keeps it away from my vision so I can see through it more clearly. So, and now finally, the last big item that I am adding to my equipment, which may come as a surprise to some of you, are a different type of shoe. So I mentioned earlier, my Altra Olympus 4s have reached the 500-mile mark. It's definitely time to replace them. And so for my replacement shoe, I have selected the Ultra Lone Peak Alpine shoe. Now, some of you might say, well, Bricks, you tried Lone Peaks and they were beating up your feet and you switched to the Olympus 4s. So why are you going back to a Lone Peak? Others might ask, Bricks, the Olympus 4s have been working out so well for you. Why are you switching? Well, I have become aware of the Lone Peak Alpine just through some recent research and am very intrigued by it. I've always liked the Ultra Lone Peak 4.5s. I hiked with them prior to starting my through hike of the Appalachian Trail. It's just that the amount of rocks and roots on the AT was really beating up my feet. Well, the difference between the regular Lone Peaks and the Lone Peak Alpine is the Lone Peak Alpine has an increased midsole cushion similar to, in my opinion, the Olympus 4s. You can definitely feel a difference in the cushion in this shoe between the other Lone Peaks. In addition, the sole of the Lone Peak Alpine is made for rocks. It is thicker. You can just feel it. It feels more rugged, has good grip. And so understanding, recognizing that I'm going to just keep experiencing more and more rocks, I thought that this was a good feature for me to have. So the additional feature of the midsole cushion that is similar to the Olympus 4, in my opinion, and the improved sole really seemed like a good match for me. In addition to that, the wall of the shoe is definitely more rugged feeling than a regular Lone Peak. The material is a canvas style material with like brushed leather around the sides. It's a really nice looking shoe. It only weighs 0.6 ounces more than a regular Lone Peak, and it's about the same weight as my Olympus 4. So it's a good trade-off to me. Now, it doesn't have hooks and Velcro similar to other Lone Peaks for gaiters, but that's okay with me because I don't wear gaiters. Several people do, and that's just fine, but with me, gaiters have just never been something that I've, really enjoyed hiking in. They're kind of cumbersome with me. It's an additional layer that you got to add before you can put on your shoes and things of that nature. So I've typically have not hiked with gaiters, and so that's not a big loss for me. Anyway, for the remainder, at least for the next 500 miles, I intend to hike in the Lone Peak Alpine shoe by Altra. Now, another feature of this is REI lists this as a hiking shoe, not a trail runner. This is a hiking shoe. And so if I run into any issues or defects, I should absolutely not have any argument as to whether or not this shoe is suitable for hiking. So that's it. I'm super excited to add these shoes to my kit, and I'll let everybody know how they perform. And then finally, gear that I am eliminating from my pack. In fact, I've already eliminated from my pack. All of my winter gear that is not necessary has been sent home. That saves approximately 2.5 pounds of weight that was in my backpack. So this includes my gloves, my beanie, my puffy. Those items have been sent back. And so I'm down to my summer gear. For cool nights, I still have my base layer top and my base layer pants. They're 150 gram smart wool top and bottom that give me some extra warmth while I'm in the White Mountains or in Maine, where it might get down into the 40s, even during the summer months. And so I have those to just for warmth, maybe while I'm sleeping. But they're also my dry items that I wear after hiking. They're very thin, they're very comfortable even in the summer months. I've already started wearing them even when it's in the 60s. And I've been quite comfortable in them because they are a base layer, they are somewhat breathable. And the benefit is the base layer long pants and the base layer long sleeves, I've treated with permethrin, and it gives me a layer of insect protection out in the woods while I'm camping as well. So I've decided to keep those, and I'm going to continue to use those. And I've also kept my Patagonia fleece mid-layer, which is very near and dear to my heart. It deployed to combat with me multiple times, and from back in my days in the Army, it's traveled the world with me. I've had it for the better part of almost 15 years, and I'm absolutely am bringing my Patagonia fleece with me. Finally, other gear that I am eliminating and sending back. If you recall, very recently, my backpacking stove had failed. This is my Pocket Rocket Deluxe that has failed, and essentially it comes apart when it should not. This little rod is part of the, I believe, the piezometer, but it has failed, and as a result, this section falls out. And so I've already eliminated, in fact, it's already fallen apart with just me handling it here. It falls into multiple pieces. So I did replace this with the MSR Pocket Rocket 2 stove. And so this is being sent home today, actually, to my wife Twinkle, who's going to handle the return with me. This is going to go back to REI for a defect. And so I'll update everybody in the future on how this return goes as well. And finally, honorable mention. In terms of what's going right, in terms of what's gone right and what's gone well, if you recall, very recently, in fact, 3 days ago, my Big Agnes XLR sleeping mat developed a slow leak, and I actually was able to pinpoint the leak area using the bathtub in a hotel to submerge it in cold water and look for air bubbles and identify the leak. And I successfully patched it. I've already leak tested it after the patch and saw that it's not leaking any air. I kept it inflated overnight. It did not lose any air. And so this is an honorable mention in terms of what's gone right and gone well because of the repair kit that comes with the Big Agnes XLR sleeping mat. Now, most, if not all, sleeping mats come with some type of repair kit, but I found this one to be super helpful, and especially after I had had experience trying to repair a leak using Therma-a-Rest's repair kit. Big Agnes includes 3 patches, actually, of different sizes that have an adhesive backing. They're produced by 3M, the company. But the material is very waterproof. In fact, it feels, just texture-wise, is the exact same material in which the sleeping mat is made out of. They include pretty detailed instructions on how to apply these, but it couldn't have been any easier. It's essentially as easy as making sure the area is clean and dry, peeling off the adhesive backing and putting it in place, making sure that there's no air bubbles. It's a one-piece patch, doesn't require any separate adhesive, doesn't require a separate adhesive sticky substance that you then place a patch over. It's a one-and-done patch that so far has worked very well. So that gets my honorable mention in terms of items that has gone well. So that's it. That's it for my update in terms of my mid-hike review of what's gone well, what's gone right, what has not worked as well as expected, or what has failed altogether. All in all, I will say you will have gear issues while you're hiking on the trail. And hopefully, if you have any issues related to any of these items, similar or any like items, even if they're not the same brand, hopefully some of this information is either helpful to you in terms of how you might resolve these same types of issues, or maybe this information is helpful to you as you evaluate gear on your own that you might want to include in your own pack. So I hope this was helpful for you. If this was helpful for you, do me a favor, please hit the like button. Please leave comments if you have any comments on anything that I just covered. And as always, if you are not already a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button. I am absolutely appreciative of all my subscribers. Thank you for continuing to support me on my attempted thru hike. Thank you for joining me on my journey. And thank you as always for all the comments. I do respond to all the comments when I can, when time is provided, as long as I'm not hiking and I have a reliable cell service or Wi-Fi. So that's it. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my 0 day, and I look forward to seeing everyone tomorrow when I leave Delaware Water Gap, Pennsylvania, and push into New Jersey. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Bricks.